Yes, sir.
मुझे तूने गुरुवर सब कुछ दिया है, मुझे तूने गुरुवर सब कुछ दिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है। न मिलती अगर दी हुई दात तेरी, जमाने में क्या थी औकात मेरी। न मिलती अगर दी हुई दात तेरी, जमाने में क्या थी औकात मेरी। मुझे तूने जीने के काबिल किया है, मुझे तूने जीने के काबिल किया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है। मुझे तूने गुरुवर सब कुछ दिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है। किया कुछ नहीं है, शर्मसार हूँ मैं, तेरी रहमतों की तलबगार हूँ मैं। किया कुछ नहीं है, शर्मसार हूँ मैं, तेरी रहमतों की गुनहगार हूँ मैं। दिया कुछ नहीं, बस लिया ही लिया है, दिया कुछ नहीं, बस लिया ही लिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है। मुझे तूने गुरुवर सब कुछ दिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है। तेरी रहमतों का इशारा न होता तो दुनिया में मेरा गुजारा न होता। तेरी रहमतों का इशारा न होता तो दुनिया में मेरा गुजारा न होता। उसे क्या कमी जो तेरा हो गया है, उसे क्या कमी जो तेरा हो गया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है। मुझे तूने गुरुवर सब कुछ दिया है, मुझे तूने गुरुवर सब कुछ दिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है, तेरा शुक्रिया है।
तो गुरु महाराज को
प्रणाम अंकल, सबको प्रणाम।
तो गुरु महाराज को शुक्रिया करके उन्हीं के प्रेजेंस में मैं कुछ कहने जा रहा हूँ। Welcome to Chicago, the land where more than a century ago Swami Vivekananda, a yogi, taught the world necessary of yoga and Vedanta, tried to remove misconceptions, misunderstandings, and outright ignorance about yoga. Welcome again. The word yoga literally means union, a process of a spiritual union. It is a method or technique, one of many, by which an individual may become united with the God. In the Yoga Sutras, Maharishi Patanjali defines yoga as Chit Vritti Nirodha, the control, Nirodh, of thought waves, vrittis, in the mind, Chitta. This forms the basis of the entire yoga philosophy. A classical commentator, Bhoj, on the Yoga Sutras describes Maharishi Patanjali's use of the word yoga as an attempt to separate the Atman from the non-Atman. An attempt to separate the Atman from the non-Atman. With the practice of control of mind, yoga takes a seeker beyond the states of non-Atman to be in union with Atman, a perfect state of yoga, the goal of yoga. Let us first understand the word Chit in Chit Vritti Nirodha. Maharshi describes Chit as being comprised of three components: Manas, Buddhi, and Ahankar. Manas is the recording faculty which receives impression data gathered by the senses from the outside world. Buddhi is the discriminating and decision-making faculty which analyzes and responds to the data. Ahankar is the ego sense which claims the recorded and analyzed data as its own and stores it as an individual knowledge. Advait Vedanta has called the mind, Chit, of the Yoga Sutras as Antahakara, composed of four constituents: Manas, Buddhi, Ahankar, and Chit. Here, Manas functions as a faculty of will, Sankalpa or Vikalp. Buddhi again is the decision-making faculty, while Chit is the faculty of memory, storing data. And Ahankar is false identification of I or self with the required experiences. That's what mind mostly in a big sense is. Now let's come to Vritti. Vritti is manifestation of mind. The word Vritti literally translates to ripples or waves, meaning as the manifestations of mind, Chit, the way our whole being, mind, body unit reacts or manifests to the outside environment is a Vritti. We react to the entire world outside with the totality of our being. This reaction is the central Vritti or the psychic operation in us. The mind manifests itself in the following forms: scattering, darkening, gathering, one-pointed, and concentrated. The scattering form is activity. Its tendency is to manifest in the form of pleasure or of pain. The darkening form is dullness, which tends to injury. The gathering form is when it struggles to center itself. The one-pointed form is when it tries to concentrate, and the concentrated form is what brings us to samadhi. To elaborate the relationship between our true self, the Chit, and the Vritti, every commentator has cited the analogy of a lake. The bottom of a lake we cannot see because its surface is covered with ripples. It is only possible for us to catch a glimpse of the bottom when the ripples have subsided and the water is calm. If the water is muddy or is agitated all the times, the bottom will not be seen. If it is clear and there are no waves, we shall see the bottom. The bottom of the lake is our own true self. The lake is the Chit and the waves are Vritti. Again, the mind can stay in three states, one of which is darkness, called tamas, found in brutes and idiots. It only acts to injure. No other idea comes into that state of mind. Then there is the active state of mind, rajas, whose chief motives are power and enjoyment. Then there is the state called sat, serenity, calmness, in which the waves cease and the water of the mind lake becomes clear. Why should the mind be controlled? Why Nirodh? It is the mind that makes us falsely believe that we are individuals with a physical independence of our own, isolated from the vast structures of creation. Therefore, control of mind is a necessity. It is unavoidable. The mind is not something outside us, nor is it different from us. I am my mind, and my mind is I. The body and the mind are not just interrelated, they are an organic stuff, forming a complete whole. Carl Sagan, we are a star stuff. What happens when the mind is restrained, when the mind is controlled? The seer establishes himself in his own self. The seer means the conscious subjectivity in us. The so-called subjectivity of consciousness ceases to be subjective anymore when the mind is restrained, because the subject has no meaning if there is no object outside. Subject and object are correlated terms, one hanging on the other for its survival. If the outside doesn't exist, there is no inside, and vice versa. So when the person who has restrained the mind stuff has realized that the things are not outside, the object ceases to exist, and with it, the inside also goes. So no more is there such a thing as subjectivity or individuality for that person. It doesn't exist anymore. Thus, from the restraint of the mind or the control of the mind follows a reinstallation of one's own self in one's own true nature. The goal of removal of bondage of consciousness, being the ultimate goal, has been achieved through the practice of yoga. So what is yoga? It is the isolation of consciousness from matter, the subject from the object. In the words of Boj again, yoga is an attempt to separate the Atman from the non-Atman. Yoga is an attempt to separate the Atman from the non-Atman. Has been achieved through restraining the mind. In closing, to quote Guru Maharaj, darkness really has no existence of its own. You cannot find darkness in the glow of a searchlight. Remove the searchlight and darkness will creep in. Here, the darkness equates to the initial error of non-differentiation between subject and object, the self and non-self, even though being so radically opposed to each other. This darkness creeps in as somehow, in an incomprehensible manner, the subject and object, the self and non-self come together. There is a superimposition of matter and consciousness. This superimposition is the source of perception, and everything follows from it. And this initial error, juxtaposition of matter and consciousness, is the removal of the searchlight. We can bring the searchlight back and remove the darkness through the practice of Upasana, which Guru Maharaj, the founder of Ramashram Satsang Mathura, based on his own experiences, gave us. Welcome again to Chicago. Let's see, what's next? So, Devenji, what next?
जी ये तो इंग्लिश का सेशन है, तो आपको पता है मैं इंग्लिश में तो बोलता नहीं हूँ, तो मुझे तो माफी करें, आप चलाएं जैसे। हम तो जस्ट एज ए नॉर्मल साधक, आई एम जस्ट अटेंडिंग।
humility is not going to save you, okay?
नहीं, आप बोलेंगे तो I can try, but again मेरा इंग्लिश लोग समझेंगे नहीं समझेंगे क्या, तो because my pronunciation is different than others.
Vinod ji, what next?
Uncle ji, I see Ajay ji joined back.
Okay, so Ajay ji, विनोद जी आप क्या कहना है भाई?
हाँ साहब, क्या कह रहे हैं आप?
मैं कह रहा हूँ व्हाट नेक्स्ट?
व्हाट नेक्स्ट इज और कोई भजन गाने वाले हों तो भजन और हो सकता है।
ऑलराइट, अदर देन
और वो देवेन जी जो है वो कह रहे हैं, ही इज टेलिंग एज इफ ही हैज नेवर स्पोकन इन इंग्लिश बिफोर, ही हैज।
So that's the reason I told him humility is not going to save him.
हाँ, so he
Okay, I will try. I mean, if you people forgive me my pronunciation, and then I can try to speak in English, but I have never given pravachan in English. So, but end of the day, the satsang belongs to Guru Maharaj. He is the doer. We are just watcher, or we are just the presence. I mean, like a doll. You know, there is in India there is a game where somebody plays the doll with the strings. So it's like that. The Guru Maharaj plays, and we talk, or we do whatever we think we do, but we are not doing it. In the world, if we see in the universe, there are only two things. One is matter and one is life. And therefore, wherever the life is not there, including, like we have heard and we know, whoever reads about it, they know it, that there are dead mountain also and there are live mountain. It means things, wherever the life is not there, that is called dead. And wherever the life is, that is life, but the life cannot be seen without matter. So as long as the life and matter joins, then only we can see something happening. Any activity only takes place when the life and the matter joins in the form of any body, human shapes, animal shapes, or plant shapes, anywhere. So only when the life and matter joins, it happens. The yoga, the simple meaning of yoga is adding things. So we add to what we add. I mean, at the moment we see that the matter and the life has been added, and then we see certain activities. So there is always, whenever there is something, there is a understanding that it has to be a source from where it starts. Like the life, it has got, like the water, we see the ocean, and from the ocean the water starts, becomes rain, so things like the different form. So same way, there is a full infinite storage of the life, from where the life separates and it comes in a different form, like the water drop leaves the ocean and comes in a different shape, be it in the rain, be it in the drinking water, be it comes from there. So that's the way. But Guru Maharaj has said, like a father can have 20 sons, but it does not mean that the father has disappeared. So same way, from where the journey starts, the life separates, like the ocean drop separates from the ocean and the journey starts for that water drop, the same way the individual life journey starts when they leave the ocean of the life. From there it starts. So the philosophy is basically like for the ocean drop to come back to the ocean, to be united with the real power. So same way the philosophy is that the life has started its journey, it's separated from its own Bhandar. I don't know what you want to say it in English. We call it in Hindi Bhandar. So it separates from there and the journey starts. So the basic philosophy is that from where we have started the journey, only when we return back to our own home, that's the Bhandar, that is the home from where the life has started. If we come back, then only we can be peaceful. Otherwise we will have, that the like water drop becomes on the journey, it becomes dirty, it has a different form. Say if it is mixed with the alcohol, it acts differently. So the same way, when the life moves and adds, like the water has added, like whether be it alcohol, be it dirt, be it anything, then it acts differently. The same way, that's called five, we call it 5 types of emotions. In English we call it, in Hindi we call it panch makar, which is 5 types of emotions. Those emotions are, we all know, it's a end of the day, those are all emotions. So the life is guided by the emotions, including, be it in any form. We all know, whoever have studied the plant, for example, that if you play music near the plant becomes different way active, becomes more lively. Why? Because it got emotions. So anywhere when the life and matter joins, there has to be emotions. Without emotions, that will not exist. So these emotions only creates the happiness and the sorrowness in the life. Now, how to the saint system, the Sant Mat, it says that basically unless we control the emotions, or we put ourselves so strong, so powerful that these emotions doesn't affect, then only we will have a peaceful life. So, but the emotions will not disappear. So, like any storage of the water, if you see in the ocean, end of the day, whatever the depth it might be, but it is connected with the dirt. End of the day, it is the soil. Be it river, end of the day, the river is connected with the soil. So these soils, if we consider emotions, the same way when the life journey has started, it has to be connected, the emotions will remain there. And we cannot control. So what is the best way? The best way that emotions, like in the river, the all dust have settled, then the water becomes crystal clear, and then that becomes a drinkable. But if the dirts are flowing in the river ups and down, then those waters are not drinkable. So the same way, when the life and matter has joined, and if the emotions have settled down, like the dust have settled down in the water, same way the emotions have settled down in whichever life and matter item, then that will be clear. And that's what is called, in Hindi we call it or in English we call it wisdom. So then the wisdom prevails. Because if the emotions are flowing, and we all know, suppose if we are having, we become have anger, for whatever reason we become angry. When we are angry, then we all know that our mind doesn't work. The science says, everything says that the mind capacity of working capacity becomes very much lower. So any emotions, when it is there, then our mind, the wisdom does not prevail. And that's why we see that people, when they are angry, they talk anything, they behave differently, and they regret afterwards. So basically, as long as the emotions are settled, and that's where the Guru Maharaj meditation comes very handy. The people who meditate the way Guru Maharaj has prescribed, I mean, there might be different prescription, different wear, different doctor, but as long as we see that wherever the probability, we talk of in the life the probability. If we see the compare the logically the probability, the Guru Maharaj system, it is most powerful. Why? This system does not tell you that leave your house. This system doesn't tell you that so many things which other systems talk about, that you leave house, you do this, you control. You can't fight the emotions because you cannot make it disappear. You can only make it settles down. So if you see there another example, if we see that if we boil the milk, what happens? If the milk boil, and we all know what happens, it starts flowing and it even falling outside the pot and all. But if it cools down, then it is settled and it is very nice, it is usable, everything, it becomes usable. But the boiling milk is not that usable. So same way, when we cool down, then the emotion settles down. So the cooling process, the Guru Maharaj system provides the cooling process to our mind. And when our mind cools down, then we become very relaxed. And when we are very relaxed, then we can be the most peaceful. So basic thing is that the God is not a subject of talking, because we can talk whole life, but we will not understand what is God. But if we practice, because there are two things, either one is belief can be right and can be wrong. There is no guarantee that whatever we believe has to be right. So belief is always right and wrong. Like I have said before also, that somebody is told that he is your father, but after some certain time, maybe after 15 years or 20 years, and then somebody comes and tells him that no, he is not your biological father, he adopted you. Then what happens? If after so many years of believing that he is my father, I get a doubt. But if we do the DNA test, and the DNA test tells no, he is your biological father, then whole world will come and tell you no, he is not your biological father. You won't believe it, because now you know it. So the basic process is from believing to knowing. At the moment, whoever we say, either we believe in God or we don't believe in God. But if we do the DNA test and we come to know whatever conclusion, if we come to know that there is a God, or if we come to know there is no God, then that becomes my knowledge. At the moment, it is others' knowledge. Whatever we listen, whatever we read, whatever we are told, it is others' knowledge. Unless we experiment it and we found it, then only it becomes my knowledge. So basically, the Guru Maharaj system, the meditation system, or whatever, with meditation, he has advised so many things, whatever we can follow, then we become on the path, the journey from believing to knowing. And the moment we reach to the knowing, then everything is settles down. So then, like for example, if at the moment we are told, okay, there might be next birth, there might be a earlier birth and all those things, we don't know it. We can believe, or we can say no, I don't believe in it. But somebody, if comes out of the body and then he enters back in his own body, then he knows that there is a soul, because he knows himself, he has come out of the body and he went entered in the body. Then anybody, whoever tells him that it is not possible, he won't believe it, because he knows it. But can he convince to somebody else? No, he cannot convince. So same way, unless we follow the practice of Guru Maharaj meditation, And the whoever has followed precisely, they have achieved that what he has told us. So it is basically, it is that we are supposed to practice, and then without telling somebody, we will see that our emotions are settling down. And if it is settling down, and that's what we are saying, then you start believing it. Then you start, once you start believing it, then you become more interested in doing it if you want to achieve it. If you don't want to achieve it, say, if you, somebody believes that, okay, so what if I'm angry every morning to evening every day, I don't want to be relaxed, there is nothing for him, it is not required. So people who are interested in peaceful life, in relaxed life, in trying to understand what is God, trying to find out what is God, all those things, then definitely the Guru Maharaj Satsang is the easiest way. It is very easy to practice. It is very easy to understand if we try to. So my request is only people who really want to understand, they should practice himself at least 3 months without fail, morning and evening practice. But most importantly, it is not just the practice which we do the meditation, it is what happens during the day, the 24 hours, during the sleep. If we are connected, it is the same thing. If it is connected to the power, then the light is there. If it is disconnected, the light is gone. So basically, this way, unless we get connected, unless we remain connected, so the meditation is only morning, evening, but the connection has to be continuous. And then within 3 months, anybody doesn't need, after that, I'm 100% sure, I'm telling based on my own personal experience. Within 3 months, you don't have to believe anybody. You just continue 3 months, 24 hours, remain connected. Doing any work, you can remain connected. How you can remain connected? That any work you start, in the start, you believe that you are starting, you are going to do his job, the Guru job. And when you end, you thank him. So any work you are doing, then what happens? The whole work is you are connected with him. Same way, while going to sleep, you do it while going to sleep, you will automatically, you will see that when you get up, the first thing came to your mind was him. So once you are connected with him, you will find the result in 3 months, and nobody, you don't have to listen to anybody else after that, because you will know that you are on the right path. This is what I can say, I can suggest. And it's end of the day, we can only suggest, you have to do it. Whoever is interested, they have to do it. I pray to Guru Maharaj that he gives the power, he gives the courage to do it, he gives the courage, he becomes kind enough that we remain connected to him.
Ajay ji,
नमस्कार अंकल जी।
नमस्कार जी। तो आप पढ़ रहे हैं?
हाँ जी। I'm going to read an article which is a translation of Guru Maharaj's article where he's talking about the definition of spiritual advancement. So Guru Maharaj says, scriptures tell us that the soul or the spirit is an ever constant supreme consciousness that neither regresses nor progresses. It can neither rise nor fall. It is vast, comprehensive, free of defects, and always remains pure. So if our soul or the spirit can never retrogress or progress, why do we talk about spiritual advancement? Today, let us deliberate on what is meant by spiritual advancement and what one needs to do to advance spiritually. As you might know, Satogun, goodness, Rajogun, passion, and Tamogun, ignorance, are three inherent qualities of nature that are omnipresent in the world. All of us are also made up of three elements: our soul, our mind, and our body. When the three qualities of nature interact with our soul, mind, and body, Sat or goodness becomes one with the soul. Raj or passion establishes itself in the mind, and Tam, ignorance, is represented as the physical body. The disquieting influence of passion makes the mind restless by conjugating it with the physical world's ever changing objects and affairs. Forming constant associations with various worldly things, none of which turn out to be everlasting, makes our mind very perturbed and restive. As our soul and mind are intimately associated, the restlessness of the mind also influences the soul. Forgetting its inherent blissful state, the soul feels anguish and distress. Influenced by the distress of the mind and the soul, our body endures a life of unrest and unhappiness. This is what represents regression. Reversing it and restoring the state where the soul starts experiencing its true blissful state again, and our lives become full of happiness and peace, is what is meant by spiritual advancement. It is a process of gradually reducing the mind's affinity for the physical world and replacing it with progressively increasing association with the soul. This lets our soul's light to gradually permeate our mind and intellect and illuminate everything inside and outside. The more the mind becomes inclined towards the soul, the more the mind comes under the influence of the soul, the more peace and joy one experiences. Happiness always prevails in such a person's life. Restlessness is nowhere to be found, and he finds himself resting comfortably in the lap of fearlessness. Progressing steadily, one day he will find himself so close to his soul that he will be able to experience nothing but the soul. His own identity will merge and become firmly established in the soul. When this happens and he becomes one with his soul, he will see clearly for himself and understand the fickleness and changeability of everything in the physical world. Soul is light, soul is knowledge, and soul is also an instrument that unlocks our intellect's true potential. It cannot be seen physically, but it is in its light that one can see every object's true reality and understand the real truths underpinning everything in this world. One who starts experiencing the light from his soul relinquishes attachment to the false and constantly changing objects of the physical world. The matters of the physical world no longer concern him when he manages to establish a strong association with his soul. He moves from the realms of passion and ignorance into the sphere of goodness. All his sufferings vanish. He becomes liberated from the cycle of life and death. Even as he lives in this world and performs all actions and duties expected of him, he remains internally connected to his source of bliss and keeps experiencing unparalleled joy. All paths of spiritual advancement are seeking just this state. What do we have to do to advance spiritually? The mind and body are both inert. They are only alive because of the life force infused in them by the soul. Much like the sun sustains life on this earth by providing light and energy, it is the soul that sustains life in us. Just like the sun rises every day and beams down its life-giving rays on the earth, our soul is continuously showering its blissful rays on us. But it is we who have turned our backs towards it and do not want to turn our gaze in that direction. It is always ready to illuminate our intellect and with its light and knowledge, and always looks to inspire our mind to do the right thing. But it is we who do not want to hear what it is trying to tell us. The minds of most present day humans attach no importance to the values and virtues of the soul. This is the reason for rampant unhappiness, lack of peace, and restlessness. For our own benefit, we have to turn our gaze towards the soul and bring our mind and intellect under its peaceful influence. We have to listen attentively to the instructions it is giving us and try to act on them. We always have to keep looking towards it to not miss any inspiration or instruction it may send our way. This process of redirecting our mind's attention from the physical world to our soul and gradually filling ourselves with the soul's influence, it is what practices undertaken for spiritual advancement seek to accomplish. The soul is an entity. It exists. One can see it not with physical sight, but with our mind or divine sight. However, before we are able to do that, we have to make an effort to activate our mind's faculties that can see or experience the soul. The soul is not outside or anywhere far from us, but inside, real close to us. It is subtle and hides somewhere in our hearts. We have to look for it inside with a concentrated gaze. Every day, for about 30 minutes to 3 hours, we will find that our continuous effort will bear fruit and we will start getting a glimpse of it and subsequently feel its presence with undeniable certainty and conviction. This vision will bestow upon us happiness, joy, energy, and knowledge, and will wholly transform us as a person. Therefore, the only thing we need to do for our spiritual advancement is to disengage our mind from everywhere else and connect it to our soul. We have to let our soul fill our mind with its wisdom and knowledge. The one who manages to establish a sound and secure connection with his soul does not need to do anything more. He would have achieved everything. He would have become complete and would have reached the highest state.
प्रणाम भैया।
नमस्ते भैया।
नमस्कार
नमस्कार भाई साहब, सबको नमस्कार फिर से।
नमस्कार संजीव भैया।
सबको नमस्कार।
जी नमस्कार भाई साहब।
नमस्कार देवेंद्र जी, रघुनाथ जी, प्रदीप।
प्रणाम भाई साहब।
नमस्कार नंदन, प्रवीण, गीता, मधु।
नमस्कार भैया। चाचा।
अर्पिता, अंशु, जीता।
सबको नमस्कार।
नमस्ते भैया।
नमस्कार
भैया, सबको प्रणाम।
नमस्कार विनय, नौसा, रजत।
प्रणाम भैया। भैया सबको नमस्कार।
नमस्कार। रघुनाथ जी, hello जी।
Hello. I think they say namaskar. Hopefully I got it right.
Yeah, namaskar. It's good.
As I was saying earlier, quoting Guru Maharaj, that darkness really has no existence of its own. You cannot find darkness in the glow of a searchlight. Remove the searchlight and darkness will creep in. Here the darkness equates to the initial error of non-differentiation between the subject and object, the self and non-self, even though being so radically opposed to each other. This darkness creeps as somehow in an incomprehensible manner, the subject and object, the self and non-self come together. There is a superimposition of matter and consciousness. This superimposition is the source of perception and everything flows from it. And this initial error, juxtaposition of matter and consciousness, is the removal of the searchlight. We can bring the searchlight back and remove the darkness through the practice of Upasana, which Guru Maharaj, the founder of Ramashram Satsang Mathura, based on his own experiences, gave us. So we will do that Upasana now. Please sit in a relaxed posture, a posture in which you can stay without moving for say 25-30 minutes. Close your eyes lightly and envision that the divine light is coming in front of you, penetrating your heart area. Your heart is getting illuminated and you are slowly getting immersed in that light. We'll have 2 prayers and we will keep meditating till we are told to stop it. One,
दीन बंधु दयाल गुरु के भांति तब गुण गाऊं तुम्हारे पवित्र चरित्र के ही विधि नाथ कही के सुनाऊं जेवा अपावन है मेरी गुरु नाम कैसे लीन
धान्य मन देके गुरु तुम से नहीं उद्धार। श्रद्धा सुमिरनी भेंट करी मैं दीन हो चरणों पड़ा मैं पतित हूँ। राजेय प्रभु सबके स्वामी अंतर्यामी पार ब्रह्म परमेश्वर हे करुणा सागर सब गुण आगर सतचित प्रेम निकेतन हे जगन्नायक विश्वविनायक हे जगजीवन हे जनक हे दुख भंजन जन मन रंजन जय जय आनंद के घन हे। त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव ॐ सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति।
Pradeep, you have anything to share?
So I think we have whatever I might have said has already been said. So I think we are good. If it is necessary, I can read something old, but I'm good.
Yeah.
My PC got rebooted in the meantime, so. Last week, actually, Uncle Ji, I was having discussion with Uncle Ji. He said something about yoga and our sadhana. So I am leaning heavily on one of the articles from Atit Agat or Anant to share my two thoughts that I got out of. There is an article in Atit Agat or Anant, Yoga and Hamari Sadhana. It's a 1.5 page article. We all know yoga generally, when we are talking about yoga, especially in Western world, we link it to Patanjali. And so he describes those 8 parts of yoga: yam, niyam, asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyana, or samadhi. We already talked about this earlier in the meeting. The two things that are pointed out in that article and can be considered as Guru Maharaj's innovation or clarification about that system. So one thing people generally, when they go through those 8 parts, they think that it is sequential. And the other thing that is pointed out there is that you start with yam and niyam, and then yam and niyam generally is describing how we should behave, how our conduct should be, what is the normal behavior for a good human being, and trying to figure that, or trying to get the yam and niyam in order takes lives. So what Guru Maharaj has done, as is pointed out in that article, is that rather than trying to start with yam, niyam, and asana and pranayam, we start with dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. So rather than starting from external, what is the expected behavior and what are the other means of taking care of your physical, you start from practice of dharana and dhyana and samadhi. And once you obtain the inner strength and get that inner light in your life, then that strength and that power that is attained through that process will be used to take care of the other 5 parts of the, or especially the yam and niyam. They will happen automatically. So that reversing of order has the effect of simplifying, and you tend to relate that to your what you do in normal life. So for me, it is like if you fix the data at source, then rest of you don't have to worry about the downstreams. So once you the other thought that is expressed there is part of it Uncle Ji already talked about. The definition of yoga chit vritti nirodha. The other part from Patanjali is how you can do it is vitarag visayam vachittam. So the thing that is described in Guru Maharaj's system or the process that we do is Dhyan and Chintan are the most important things, and that is other simplification. And this I am able to say all these things with conviction because I heard it from someone whom I have seen walk this earth, my guide, my spiritual father, my personal God. I had at the other time I said that God is not I know, but that is the form of God I am talking about. He lived it, exemplified in his life, and that these are his words. And even in a one-on-one conversation that was pointed out that Guru Maharaj has done a lot of research, and in the end he has come to the conclusion that गुरु के स्थूल रूप का ध्यान बहुत अच्छी और जल्दी फायदा देने वाली चीज है. So that is, I think, related to that Ditra Chitam, that if you can find someone whom you have, whom you can have faith in, then the whole process of Yogesh Chitti Brodh becomes easier, because just thinking of or remembering that person calms you down, or helps this Vritti Nirodh thing. The third thing that is pointed out there is that we are generally, what do we gain out of it? So one is naturally our behavior should be, it should be reflected in our behavior. The other thing that is pointed out is that source of peace is in knowledge. Once you know yourself, your true nature, then you will be at peace. And how does that happen? There's a sentence I'm borrowing from somewhere in Upanishad. It says, only he knows the truth who sees himself in all the living creatures. So once you get to that point where you are able to see yourself in everybody, you are able to empathize with everyone, every living creature, then all the conflicts removed, you are at peace. The other thing he points out that we are looking for bliss, and source of bliss is love. So to attain peace and love and behave in a way that is supposed to be the outcome of yoga, I wrote something that I will wrote on myself. You asked, so you will have to give these 5 minutes. This is, did you ever wonder what life will be like if there were no sun in our world? Well, we do get a glimpse of it on a cloudy day or a low lit night, and a better idea when there is power cut. One thing that becomes evident is that in the absence of light, we won't be able to perform our normal activities properly. Even if we attempt it, we are likely to get it wrong, like taking a rope for snake and running away screaming instead of using the rope to do what we intended to do. All the rules and norms associated with the normal behavior are likely to be broken, for one may not be able to see things for what they are, and hence may not behave accordingly. We all know darkness or absence of light in general evokes negative human emotions. This also explains why so much of human effort has been devoted throughout the human history to keep the physical world around us lighted and keep the darkness at bay. From learning to make fire, lighting oil lamps, to electric bulbs, to creating fantastically lit modern day facilities, almost creating the illusion of day while it's night, is truly amazing and a tribute to the human progress over time. In a way, human progress and need for light in life both can be measured by this extraordinary effort and the result of it. Modern day living is unthinkable without sunlight or its human imitation, however imperfect. While it is easier to relate to and see the need of light at physical level, for it affects us in ways that is for all to see. Darkness, however, may be and does manifest at other levels of human existence with far greater consequences. Yet rarely and few of us take a moment to think about the darkness that lurks within, even when sun shines brightly outside. It's not that we don't feel the impact of this darkness within. The fact is that all our suffering at all levels is caused by the darkness within. It is said that the whole universe is within each of us. Pinde Brahmande. So it follows naturally that then that light within is absolutely essential for normal living. For mental and spiritual existence play far greater role than physical existence. What we see at physical level is a manifestation of what exists at higher levels. The entire positive that we aspire for and is missing in life may be attributed to this darkness within. It should therefore be the foremost human duty to drive this darkness away by bringing the light in our inner world. Darkness does not have its own existence, but like in physical world only implies that source of light has been covered. There is no other way to end the appalling behavior of individuals, societies, nations, and worlds towards each other, but to bring the light of true self-knowledge. So long as darkness of ignorance rules, we should not expect right behavior, for it's impossible. Whoever walked a path full of obstacles without falling when it's pitch dark. So that is other thing that pointed out in that article, that once we connect through the process that we do in Guru Maharaj sadhana, that light of knowledge is gained and our connection to that source is established, and we lead a life that is full of joy. And he ends that article by saying that what was pointed out in Upanishad, that then a person as a result of this process sees himself or God in everybody, and the service of humankind becomes the service of Guru or God. Hopefully I didn't take too long, Bhaisab. Thank you.
Actually, so before meditation, I could literally see a beam of light that was being described. And after the meditation, the significance of it was even further described. I'm just personally privileged to be here, because what Guru Maharaj started a century ago has a lot more to do. The reason is that this light, will dispel the darkness, will dispel the ignorance. And that is a day-to-day requirement. But one thing that is in the back of my mind for several days now, probably a year, that we all need a shield to save ourselves from the dark forces. And this satsang, this meditation, provides us with that tool that we should utilize to the maximum extent possible. It should not be just used individually or for just the individual. This is for the collective, safety. And safety is not just, it's everything that we just heard. Being ignorant is being as unsafe as anything else. But when the dark forces, when the things in the external world are disrupting, you need a positive force. You need to imbibe this light within you. You need to utilize that power then to not only enlighten yourself, but enlighten everybody else. So with that, it's just, offer this prayer and be in 2-minute silence. Raghunathji?
Before we close the session, let's pray to Guru Maharaj for for so many sufferers of Corona. I get message every day on that he is sick, he's gone, those kind of things. So please, pray to Guru Maharaj to give us the strength, so that the suffering that's affecting almost everybody be able to stand. इतना मैसेज आ रहा है पर्सनल मैसेज और पर व्हाट्सएप पर के एकदम
Yeah, in India, I think suddenly things have just turned to the worse.
So So I told them that instead of asking for individual, I'll ask for the group, for the whole world.
Yeah.
Should we close it today for the evening session?
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll reconvene 7:30 Eastern.
भैया मैं कुछ बोलना चाहती हूँ।
हाँ मधु।
स्वरा गिर गई है, वो गिर गई तो उसके हाथ में फ्रैक्चर आ गया है। वो सुबह से ही ER में है, तो सर्जरी सब ठीक हो गई है। बस जस्ट मैं बताना चाहती थी बस।
ठीक है। तो रश्मि जी का एक भजन कर लें या आंटी जी हैं?
भैया प्रणाम
आंटी जी और आप एक एक भजन कर।
जी जी भैया, पहले आंटी जी बोल दे।
मैया ये जीवन हमारा आपके चरणों में है। मैया ये जीवन हमारा आपके चरणों में है। दीन दुखियों का गुजारा आपके चरणों में है। दीन दुखियों का गुजारा आपके चरणों में है। ये जीवन हमारा आपके चरणों में है। आपकी रहमत से मिलती इज्जत की दो रोटियां, आपकी इज्जत से मिलती दोपहर की रोटियां। हम गरीबों का गुजारा आपके चरणों में है। हम गरीबों का गुजारा आपके चरणों में है। मैया ये जीवन हमारा आपके चरणों में। क्या मुकद्दर का भरोसा साथ दे या ना भी दे। क्या मुकद्दर का भरोसा साथ दे या ना भी दे। मेरी किस्मत का सितारा आपके चरणों में है। मेरी किस्मत का सितारा आपके चरणों में है। भैया ये जीवन हमारा आपके चरणों में है। मैं भला चिंता करूं क्यों, है भरोसा आप पर। मैं भला चिंता करूं क्यों, है भरोसा आप पर। मेरा ये परिवार सारा आपके चरणों में है। मेरा ये परिवार सारा आपके चरणों में है। भैया ये जीवन हमारा आपके चरणों में है। दीन दुखियों का गुजारा आपके चरणों में है। दीन दुखियों का गुजारा आपके चरणों में है। भैया ये जीवन हमारा आपके चरणों में है। भैया ये जीवन हमारा आपके चरणों।
रश्मि जी।
जी भैया। अब मैं शरण तिहारी जी, मोहि राखो कृपा निधान। अब मैं शरण तिहारी जी, मोहि राखो कृपा निधान। अजामिल अपराधी तारे तारे च सदा। अजामिल अपराधी तारे तारे च सदा। जल डूबत गज राज उबारे। जल डूबत गज राज उबारे। गणिका चढ़ी विमान। अब मैं शरण तिहारी जी, मोहि राखो कृपा निधान। अब मैं शरण तिहारी जी, मोहि राखो कृपा निधान। और अधमता रे बहुते रे भाखत संत सुजान और दमता रे बहुते रे भाखत संत सुजान उपजानी भिलनी तारी कुप जानी भिलनी तारी जाने सकल जहां अब मैं शरण तिहारी जी मोहि राखो कृपा निधान अब मैं शरण तिहारी जी मोहि राखो कृपा निधान कह लग कहूँगी तत नहीं आवे थकी गए वे पुराण कह लग कहूँगी तत नहीं आवे थकी गए वे पुराण मीरा दासी शरण तिहारी मीरा दासी शरण तिहारी सुनिए दोनों का अब मैं शरण तिहारी जी मोहि राखो कृपा निधान अब मैं शरण तिहारी जी मोहि राखो कृपा निधान अब मैं शरण तिहारी जी मोहि राखो कृपा निधान। सभी को प्रणाम।
ठीक है, सबको नमस्कार।
नमस्कार सभी को।
नमस्कार भाई साहब, नमस्कार अंकल जी, सबको नमस्कार।
सबको नमस्कार।
भैया, सबको नमस्कार।
नमस्ते।
सबको नमस्ते।
नमस्कार भाई साहब सब।
तो फिर शाम को 6:30 बजे मुलाकात होगी।
प्रणाम।
7:30
आपके 6:30, हमारी 7:30।
7:30। ठीक।
प्रणाम भैया, सबको प्रणाम।
सबको प्रणाम।
नमस्कार भाई साहब, सभी को
नमस्कार देव जी।
सभी को
भाई साहब,
नमस्कार भैया, सभी को नमस्कार।
नमस्कार अनिश,
नमस्कार नमस्कार।
नमस्कार हिमांशु,
भैया
सुधांशु,
सभी को
सबको नमस्कार।
नमस्कार।
सबको नमस्कार। 6:30 7:30 और 9।
प्रणाम भैया, सभी को प्रणाम।
नमस्कार पुनः।
प्रणाम चाचा, सभी को प्रणाम।
अच्छा, हटा दीजिए, वही तो कर